Well, thank you, Kirk. Build up the basketball. Does that have anything to do with build back better? Because I hope our build up to basketball is better than build back better. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to be with y'all. Excited for the season to start. Really grateful to the NCAA for changing the legislation about the start of practice season and our ability to work with our kids through the summer. Just think that it's been so good for the kids and their own personal development. I think they're doing a better job in the classroom. I think they're doing a better job in life. Certainly doing a better job on the basketball court and working their craft. So I think it's been really good. It's just amazing that last Friday was October 15th. And that would have been the start of practice, and we've already we've been at it for a while, so that's been real positive. That said, I want to just check on one thing on my screen here. You guys are good. I've got this little thing. This being recorded. Just want to make sure that you see that, Kirk. It's good. Okay. All right. Great. So let's just open up for questions.
All right, Coach. Our first question is from Brian Stoltz.
Thanks, Kirk. Excuse me, Bruce. Jabari was talking about the breakfast club that he's kind of formed in the gym lately with Katie and Wendell and some other guys. What does that show you about Jabari? That he's in the gym at 6:30 a.m. working out and kind of forcing these guys, or not forcing these guys, but kind of encouraging these guys to get in the gym with them and kind of building a rapport.
Well, Jabari's a great teammate. He's really easy to root for. He's led by example, and for him to come in as a freshman and be our hardest working player on the hardest working team that I've coached, it just says a lot. And all it is just about his discipline. It's about his consistency. It's just about his makeup. He's a 4.0 student. He's serves in the community. He goes to the other sporting events with the other teams. He's been a really good teammate. He's a friend with everybody on the team. Our guys are happy for him and happy for his success and happy about his future and his potential. He's just been a lot of fun to coach. That's why he's going to be a pro, because he trains like a pro and he acts like one and he wants to be coached. And he's brought other guys with him. I think, oftentimes, and I've been around some great players, the better they look, the worse the other guys look, and they somehow love a separation between them and everybody else. That's a human nature characteristic with some people that are accomplished. Not Jabari. He doesn't. He wants to bring those rest of the guys up with him and help them be great as well.
Jordan Hill.
Bruce, when the AP poll came out yesterday, you guys are 22nd, and then today you guys are predicted 5th in the conference. What does that say about the SEC, the state of the conference going into this year?
Yeah, I think it says a lot. The state of basketball in the SEC is maybe never been better. If you're good enough to finish in the top 5 in our league, you're good enough to get to the Final Four, and we proved that a couple of years ago. And I think that's the case this year. I think there are legitimately 9 or 10 teams in our league that are good enough to make the tournament. And I think there are legitimately, I want to say 7 or 8 teams that are going to make the tournament. I mean, I think this has got a chance to be a banner year for our league from a standpoint of the number of teams that are going to be in. I think the pecking order was really, let's just say the top 8 or 9 teams. I thought they're pretty spot on. There are several teams that are below 5 that could easily finish in the top 5. That's how good and balanced I think, the league is. We're going to have to do our job in the non-conference to be able to set the tone there. I think the quality of the coaches, I think the fan bases and the amount of support at a lot of places that historically, haven't drawn, that are drawing really well right now, or some historic programs that weren't very good recently but are really good now. And look at the quality of the players. In the last 2 years, the SEC has dominated the NBA draft over the last 2 years compared to the other leagues. So we're getting the best players. I think we've got the best coaches, and as a result, the rankings are what they are. For us, getting there with potentially 5 new starters, that's to me, just incredible. Like we really could have 5 new starters this year, and yet they think we got a chance to finish, be preseason top 25. That's usually hard to do, and so we got a lot of work to do to be one of those teams now, because we're not there yet because we're so new. But I really like my team, and so we'll see how good we are pretty soon.
Nathan King. Nathan? All right, we'll go to Justin Ferguson. Justin? Can't unmute? Hang tight. Justin?
All right. Bruce, do you have an update on Walker and how he's doing with the concussion?
Yeah, Walker. So Walker Kessler missed pro day last week. He had a mild concussion and did all the things that protocol requires, and he's been able to come back this week full speed and full strength, and he's had a good week. So Walker's good to go. Obviously, I've never coached anybody that's 7'1", and I've never coached anybody that's 7'1" that can shoot the ball from the perimeter. I think it's just going to be fun to be able to work with Walker and see how much better he can make us. He wants to get better. He wants to be coached. He's hard on himself, so I don't need to be too hard on him. Again, great teammate. Loving being at Auburn. I think he likes what we're doing right now. He protects the rim, and he's like one of those 7'1" guys that's really 7'1", and he's really long. But when you watch him move and watch him run, he looks like he's 6'7", 6'8", because he doesn't rumble and lumber up and down the floor. He moves really well. So our front line, I would say this: our front line between Jalen Williams and Jabari and Stretch, Dylan Cardwell and Walker Kessler, that's the deepest and the biggest and the most talented front line that I've had. I've always been sort of undersized and played small ball, and now we're going to be a lot bigger, and so we're going to see, hopefully our system can make that adjustment and take advantage of our size.
Nathan King.
Yeah, Bruce, similar to what you were just talking about, with such a big front line this season, do you think any of your offensive philosophies might change with that, or is it just going to make you guys bigger on defense?
Well, I think defensively we may not be able to extend quite as much as we've extended in the past because of that size. The closer we get to the basket, the better we look. The farther away we are from the basket, the more challenged we could be. We may not press quite as much. I still think we'll press the ball. I think we'll still extend people past the three-point line, but it may not be as helter-skelter. We might mix in some more zone. We could be big in zone, and that could be a good defense for us against certain opponents. And then the biggest question, I think, is can we take advantage of our size with mismatches? And that's really, really hard to do. What you find is that coaches and players, it's easier to take advantage of a mismatch on the perimeter in the sense that you get switched off on a big that can't cover you. You could step out from three and knock that shot down because they're not used to guarding. If they press up, typically you can go by. So a perimeter mismatch has been easier to make a one-on-one play. An interior mismatch is hard, but one that you need to be able to do because they're going to let those guards, defend down there in the post when they're mismatched. They're going to let more contact go down there, and when the ball does get down there, help will come. So the ability to take advantage of mismatches on the inside and the outside will be an important part of our offense.
Bob Holt.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm good, Bob. How are you doing?
I had a two-parter, if that's okay, since I'm all the way from Arkansas. First off, you talked about the depth of the league. I know you're concerned about your own team, obviously, but I'm wondering if you had any thoughts on Arkansas. Eric really reloaded in the portal again, it looks like.
Yeah, Eric, don't worry about Eric's personnel and don't worry about Eric's ability to recruit. He's as good as there is in the country, and he's going to have as deep and talented a roster as anybody in our league. So Arkansas is reloaded, and he obviously had a great job last year. I thought our game last year was a pivotal game. We went to Arkansas. We were really young, and we had just gotten Sharif Cooper back on our team and had a great first half. And Eric was able to get them organized again at halftime, and they came out and won that game very close game at Arkansas last year. And I thought that was a real pivotal. They were 2-4 at the time. A loss to us would have made them 2-5 in the league, and that could have set them in a different course, but it didn't. Because he did a great job, and obviously they had a great year, and probably represented the SEC as well as anybody, certainly getting all the way to the Elite Eight.
And then I know Alan Flanigan had surgery, I guess, about a month ago. How's he doing? And has the timetable on his recovery changed, or when might you be able to get him back?
Yeah, it's tough. It's really a tough shot for us because Allen was the fourth leading returning scorer in the SEC, so he was clearly one of the best players returning. And potentially last year could have been a late second round pick if he'd have gone. Would have made a club because he's so big and physical, and his body is ready to be able to go play at that next level. And so he had about 70% of his Achilles that was ripped, but fortunately 30% was on. It was not a rupture, and so all they did was sew it back, and it was a nice clean surgery. They feel like it's going to be a quicker and better heal than if it was a rupture. And so we were 12 to 14 weeks when it happened. We still are. So we're looking at a mid-December type of return. I can tell you that Allen wants to play on this year's team. He's excited about this group. This group, with 6 newcomers, has worked really hard to try to get to know each other. I think us not being in a COVID year has helped the teams that are bringing in so many new people out of the transfer portal. I'm sure Eric feels the same way about getting closer to each other off the court, which helps you be better on the court. And Al wants to play with this team, and we need him because he was my best shot maker. He was the best guy scoring downhill through contact, the best guy getting the foul line and delivering at the foul line, and probably our most consistent three-point shooter and our second best playmaker. So I mean, he's a very, very valuable player for us, and we're going to miss him until we get him back.
Thanks, Bruce.
Mark Murphy.
Let's talk about the development of the big guys when you got so many big guys to practice against each other and how that helps them, and throw in Jalen Williams too, because he could play inside as well.
Yeah, there's no question. Those 5 bigs, on a typical Bruce Pearl team, Chris Moore would be a undersized foreman. And maybe, as a fourth guard. I like to play 4 guards. We play 4 guards and 1 big. And my centers are going to be either, Dylan Cardwell, Stretch, or Walker Kessler. And so it's really unbelievable to have that kind of depth in the front line. We don't have it in any other position other than the 5 spot. They're all better. Stretch is a great rim protector, really a great communicator on the defensive end. His defense ahead of his offense, but his offense has improved. He's finishing around the basket better. He's catching the ball better. And all my bigs can step out and shoot the 3-ball. Walker is the most accomplished, but believe it or not, Dylan and Stretch can still do it. At 6'11", 250, Dylan is as big and strong and as athletic and mobile as any center in college basketball. That's a strong statement, but I believe it to be true. But you got to remember, his junior year he played at Oak Hill behind Kofi Cockburn and played 4 or 5 minutes a game as a junior. As a senior in high school, he transferred to McEachern High School, was not eligible to play, missed his senior year. And last year, then, was really the first time he played basketball in 3 years. And, so Dylan has gotten better. He's got great upside. Was a fast learner. And then Walker is just an incredible dimension with his length and his ability to shoot the basketball. And then you get to the big guard spot. with Jabari Smith and Jalen Williams, that those guys will play against a really good player every single night in our league. But it would be hard to imagine teams having depth at the position like we do at our big guard position with Jalen and Jabari. Jabari's an elite jump shooter, and he can put the ball down the floor and create. He's got a great assist-turnover ratio. He rebounds his position. He's put on about 22 to 25 pounds since he's gotten here, since the beginning of June. So once again, our strength coach, Damon Davis, proves how good he is and how valuable he is. Because for us, it's always been about player development. Look, Sharif Cooper was the first McDonald's All-American to ever play for me at Auburn, and he played 12 games. Jabari Smith will now be the second. This program has been built on 3 stars and 4 stars and guys that came in and worked and developed and got better. And so, like Jalen Williams, who is left-handed and can put the ball down the floor and create, can shoot the ball, stretch the defense, can guard multiple positions on the floor. So Jabari and Jalen give us great flexibility at that spot.
Justin Hokanson.
Hey, Bruce. You've talked about this team being the hardest working team you've had and a few different times. What goes into that? Is it the fact that you got some transfers in there that are pushing things, or why is this team such a hard-working group?
Yeah, and I know I have said it several times, and you know what it is just it's the time away from basketball. So look, every team we've had, we've always had good, hard-working teams. Everybody in our league does. Everybody's working hard. That's not the issue. The issue is the extra stuff. The guys that are coming in the morning, the guys that are coming in at night, the guys that are coming in and getting extra, the guys that are in the weight room, the guys that are in the training room. One of the things that I'm very, very proud of was last year during the season, we didn't have one guy come down with COVID, not one player during the season. Now, you could do all the right things and still get it, and nobody did anything wrong by getting it. It was nobody's fault when you got the virus. But the fact that our guys didn't get it says a lot about what they did and how they trained and how they stayed socially distant and safe. They came in the gym, they played, and they stayed away. And that discipline had a little bit to do with our culture and our work ethic. And I just think these guys this year, almost to a man, they've just picked up their time in the gym, their time in the weight room, the time in the training room that is extra on their own.
Jerry Tipton.
Yeah, Bruce, I wanted to ask you about Wendell Green. How does he look? What sort of impact do you think he can make?
Well, I asked my point guards, Wendell Green and Zep Jasper, I said, where do you guys think you guys are going to be ranked in like the preseason rankings? If you had to rank where our point guards would be at the position. And they both said, reluctantly, 10th or 11th or something like that. It could be lower than that. To a team picked 5th in the league, ranked 22nd in the country in the preseason. Wendell was a terrific player in the OVC at Eastern Kentucky. And this is going to be a big step in class for Wendell. Zep Jasper was a terrific player at the College of Charleston. The SEC is a step up. KD Johnson played a lot off the ball with Georgia. He's probably going to do the same for us, but he could play a little bit of point guard. So I'm going to be brand new again at the position. And one of the best point guards in the league or in the country last year is playing for the Atlanta Hawks and Sharif Cooper. So we got some work to do replacing that position. Wendell, 2 things. Wendell played a lot of mirror in high school, played with pros and against pros. And Wendell's not afraid of the moment. He's got some guts. He's got some courage. He's got a swag. His offense is ahead of his defense. And I got no problem with him taking the last shot. He will make big shots. He can shoot it at the point guard position like Jared Harper. But when you talk about something like Jared Harper, was it Jared Harper as a freshman, a sophomore, as a junior? Everybody remembers Jared Harper late in his career being arguably one of the best or the best point guard in our conference, but he didn't start out that way. It does take a little bit of time. So Wendell's got a lot to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and we're going to give him an opportunity to be able to prove it. He's from Detroit. So he's, again, he's not afraid. He's been challenged. And so we're excited about the opportunity.
Got time for 2 follow-up questions. First from Nathan King.
Bruce, have you ever had a guy like Walker that has been able to kind of snatch rebounds on the offensive end at that kind of rate, I guess? And then what does that do for your offense when you've got somebody who's going to be able to create extra shots on the interior?
Well, we've always been a pretty good offensive rebounding team, and so I'm hoping that's going to be the case. You know, at 7'1", 250, 255, you know, he's a pretty easy target. So people are going to be very physical with Walker. They'll be checking him out off the boards, and you know he's got to do a good job of initiating that contact, initiating that seal, and use his size to his advantage. But I'm sure that he's going to get a lot of attention and people making sure that he's able to stay off the boards. But offensive rebounding is an important part of your offensive concepts, and so we'll try to put him in position to get there. Now, it's hard to get him there when he's on the perimeter setting up for a three-point shot, so we've got to mix up his dives to the basket with his spots up from three.
Coach, our last question is from Justin Ferguson.
Bruce, last year